All right. And let me go ahead and, oh, I'm not even showing my screen. Share.
Oh,
I'm typing in we're using the audio and no one can see it. Okay. That's funny. Sorry. All right. Got the recording going. Yeah. I'm betting that people joined visual and they're using the dial in, but hopefully that'll change. Hey, who just joined? Did someone just join? No, people are beeping in,
I
but
don't know. I don't. They're beeping in.
yeah, they're beeping in.
I just see me and you on there.
I see me and you, but I also see Tom. It shows Tom
I
on.
meant Tom. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Tom, but which I would think would be the whole office in there.
Yeah.
But maybe they're on mute, trying to get logged back in. We just got off of a call, so
Okay. Let me see if anybody tried to chat us. We dialed in, but it says we are the only one. Um,
I bet you they're on the other number.
we are using the go-to. The go-to.
Todd, can you hear us?
Can you hear us now, Josh?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. All right.
So we've also got Vaughn on as well, and we are
Hey,
recording.
Vaughn, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Vaughn, can you hear me?
Yep, yep.
Why didn't we send the American Services template that we finalized on Monday
I don't know what you're talking about. The template.
with where we added the MVP that they were supposed to build out for
We
American
we
Services?
we 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 have sent. I probably sent the wrong one from the file, but again, the key thing is we gave them the document before they even started, because we started on this whole idea of EOP with them before, so they were already working on it. We've sent them the most recent one. I may have attached the wrong one in
Okay,
this
that
email,
that
but
explains it.
yeah,
You guys,
yeah.
the
Okay,
thing
just
you
double
have to
checking.
remember, I know you were working on a form when you guys were all together in Greenville. The form itself is really not the presentation to the employee. If you're doing this on your phone and you're trying to work off of a form, it would be incredibly difficult. So the concept, and I actually threw a huge monkey wrench to efficient forms yesterday when I was sitting in the office and I was discussing how, look, because the vast majority of our customers are working off the fixed indemnity and a MEC, or if they're in California or someplace like that, they're doing a MEC plus. That's going to be the core of it, but we can also bring critical illness if the client wants to put their MVP in there. In some cases, we do bundled ancillary where you have to elect fixed indemnity before you can get to the bundle. But in other cases, you can break the bundle apart and you can do dental versus vision. And they were like, well, you didn't say any of this. You gave us a form. And I said, no, I get it. So they came back and said, okay, how many possible products could there be? And what kind of logic would there need to be between them? So they're making changes to their overall design right now, but I need the whole team to not necessarily think in terms of a form. I want everybody to be thinking in terms of, okay, I'm presenting 1 through 7 products to an individual, an employee, and the company got to dictate what those products were. And I want to start by showing what we want people to enroll in, which probably is going to be our fixed indemnity. And I want to put some pieces to get somebody to understand why a fixed indemnity is different. Then, like Vaughn and I ran into a MetLife product set. We ran into kind of a hybrid product that had some mech features, but it had some basic fixed indemnity type features with some critical illness, added in for seasoning. So we're trying to get people to understand why our product set is special and why they should enroll, which those videos that Tom's working on and Lauren and Lindsay, those are great. I mean, the key things we're highlighting to the customer are, in fact, I think everyone's on this call, right? So I can get that minimized.
Yep. Yep.
Key things that we're trying to highlight to an employee is, hey, this is health insurance. It's the second largest network in the U.S. Our carrier pays the doctor or urgent care or whatever directly. These are all reasons why this is a product you should be interested in, which is all the cool stuff you guys are putting together. So when you have that kind of material, whether it's a video, whether it's a really high res, pretty slick that has good bullet points in it, all of those types of things can be put into this overall data gathering mechanism. And the EOP is about doing the enrollment itself, either as a standalone, because we have people that use Aviante or some other system that doesn't have the ability to do something mobile for our enrollment. And that's where Aaron's talked about it, John's talked about it. So what we're doing with Efficient Hire, they're building this for us to use anytime we want with a customer as a standalone. But it's also a really good example of embedding the enrollment process directly into the onboarding process. So the way that Efficient Hire does it, and you guys have all seen a demo from me on Efficient Hire, it's kind of like TurboTax. It's an interactive Q&A. And that gives us a lot of flexibility in how we present to the customer. If we look at the EOP that Elwood is doing, that's a fillable form. So you're really limited in what you can present to the employee to try to get enrollment. So we're hoping to create this best practice that we could take to Express, we could take to any other vendor, eRecruit, whatever, and say best practice is following something like this. And then we can say to the customer, hey, if you get higher enrollment, your compliance is going to be perfect because you're going to get 100% of your people are shown this. But remember that if you get higher enrollment, you got that 47% better retention. So it's in everyone's best interest that the employee is really shown the value of the product set overall, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do. So I don't want us to think in terms of forms, and forms are fine. And we'll fill out forms and we'll sign forms. But worry less about the presentation of the form and more about the data being presented and gathered. So, I mean, that's it. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So eventually.
Okay, hang on, hold on one second. Okay. As we have this call and go through this, you guys have to stop periodically and pause and let us make comments and things, because we have to, you guys just take, break your comments into pieces so we can make comments and jump in and go back in time to the beginning of it. Okay, just help us out with that. Okay, the scenario, commenting about a form. This is the deal. We need you guys to convey the technical aspects to Efficient Hire and anybody else that we're talking about. But what you're seeing that looks like a form is a format that could add 8, 10, whatever other products. But what is critical to us in here, there's two critical things: the data connectivity and the flow, the look, and the feel of the interface with the end user. And that's what you guys are calling the form. It's not a form. It is a layout and a format based upon what we've seen, Efficient Hire flow of information and the way that their screens look. We're kind of mimicking that with the form, but it's not a form. We're not taking a form and putting it in there. We're designing an interface that looks as much as possible like the Efficient Hire screens, but it's not a form. We could have any kind of products on there that we want to have on there, but it's the explanation of how a product works and the election, yes or no, and the cost, et cetera, on there, but it's not a form.
Yeah, Jay, you're 100% right. And that's exactly what I kind of want to highlight in this example is that we will always dictate as IAG, what is being presented to the employee? What is the video? What is the slick? What are the bullet points? What are the key elements? We decide the order. We decide the flow. I just don't want to present the data gathering mechanism as more of the form-ish look. It's really more of the Q&A, the video, the slicks that we want to present. But no, you're 100% right. Whatever product's being used, whether it's Efficient Hire or whether it's Express Home Build or it's eRecruit or anything else, we want to be able to present what our flow is for best practice. And that's exactly what we're going to do in something like this. But no, you're right.
Well, we just need input on, like, if we looked at what we could find demo-wise and everything else about a efficient form and attempted to make this look like a seamless flow into it. Yeah. Now, if when we talk about the TurboTax thing, yes, there is a concept of one screen and just a simple thing and check yes or no, and then another screen and another screen. We can open that conversation whether we think Efficient Hire is down with that approach, or have the information gathering explanation of benefits down and dirty quick, because we know clients are going to want quick, and the TurboTax approach very well may be just as quick or quicker. But we need to have that conversation. Are we going to have like 2 screens to explain and collect, or are we going to have 20 screens explaining and collecting little short snippets or whatever? I just need advice on this, because we debated it internally, and it's like, okay, if we take this to another onboarding system, or we have clients out there that are using eRecruit, et cetera, whatever, we want to be able to give them a plug and go quickly scenario, and you're going to have different, we might ought to have maybe 2 versions, one that's one way and the other's the other, but it's going to depend on the onboarding system that we're interacting with, right?
Exactly. And Jay, you nailed it, that there's going to be 2 versions, because when you're talking to an eRecruit, what you guys worked on in that flow, that is that form, that's exactly what eRecruit needs, because they don't have the ability to do anything other than present that kind of information and then make them fillable fields and collect it. So that is a very good approach to an eRecruit or an Elwood. And then you'll have a slightly different one if somebody has the ability to be a little bit more interactive and present more options, more content. And if you have the ability to give them a quick 10-second video, put up a slick that has high-res graphics with 5 or 6 key bullet points, you want to be able to present that a little bit differently than you would the more formish gathering of information. But there'll always be 2 versions of best practice. And that's the question that we would always go back to the partner or the customer on. Talk to me about your process. How do you show things? Oh, okay, great. Then this is best practice for that method. And then, oh, you do it this way.
Yeah. And that's the other reason we wanted to see kind of where Express was at least heading. So if it's more down the eRecruit or more down the more visible way, and that'll be like with any client for sure.
So with this product set, and again, we have or will have the ability to introduce this to any of our current or future clients. We can take an import into this system if they have phone numbers, email addresses, where a person can receive a text or they can receive an email invitation. So if you're dealing with an open enrollment, maybe it goes out to 1,000, 5,000 people. Or if you're dealing with the onboarding side, it's happening at the time of onboarding, either as a standalone or it's tied into an onboarding system, either way. The only real difference between something like this and what we show today in ePortal is it is designed to be, content responsive, mobile friendly. So this is what it would look like if you were on a phone, and if you were actually sitting in on a laptop or something else, you would have a different presentation. It would look more like this. Now I got to make this thing. How do you make this thing shrink down? There it is. There it is. Okay, so this is more of your phone concept. So when they're brought to a system like this originally, it's going to have them create a password, and it's going to have them create a PIN, a personal identification number. Lots of different systems will use different signing ceremonies. This one's already been through the court system multiple times, and it's won every time. Um, Electronic signing ceremonies, there's so many options. Click to attest, type in your name, put in a PIN, like put in your initials. All of those are considered legitimate as long as there's a clear separation between the employee and the employer. If the employer,
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, make sure everybody knows what we're talking about here is this is when the employee's looking at, hey, I'm doing this from my home or whatever. They're logging in to do their onboarding, which is going to be tied right in then to the benefit side. So this is he's starting at the very ground zero.
Yeah. So
Does that help?
when they're brought here for the very first time, they end up into a kind of a registration page for the first time they're here. If this is tied into a system that's doing more employee management, like onboarding or updated policies, then they're returning to it. They would have a user ID and a password. They could reset their password, those types of things. But the example I'm going to show today is we're going to do enrollment as a standalone. So it's obviously tied into onboarding, and that's easy to do. What we had Efficient Hire work on is the ability to either make this a callable situation, which means at the time I'm doing my I-9 and my W-4 and all that jazz, this just automatically gets called up inside, or it's standalone, which would be an Aviante client that's been demanding mobile. They would have this option as a standalone, not tied into onboarding. So when you come into a system like this, there's one thing, there's one action for this employee to do. I've got a few in here because we did onboarding and some other things, but they would only have the one action where it says finish questions right here. So when you're dealing with mobile versus a laptop, a desktop, it's things like the menus going away. Those are the types of things to maximize the screen space to work well on an iPhone or an Android. So they would only have one thing to do here, and it's finish their questions. If this was already tied into onboarding, it would follow after onboarding. So all that data, like their name and address and phone and all that jazz, that would already be collected. If they're doing this from scratch, the question then becomes, what did we know from the customer for open enrollment? We can pre-populate a lot of data. There's a lot of information that can come in, or we can just have them register themselves and answer questions. So there's some flexibility in that as well. And as we kind of pop through these screens, this is not the final version. I've told the team over at Efficient Hire, look, give me the ability to put in custom questions. Give me the ability to put in video. Give me the ability to put in PDF slicks. Define my price points. Give me a chance to define my price points based on product. Give me at least, I think we said 9 products as a possibility that we may or may not want. And that's kind of where we get into, hey, is this a MET Plus and it's a standalone? Or is this a fixed indemnity and a MEC with ancillary bundle? Are we breaking the bundle and doing those individually? Give me the ability to define based on the client what each of those elements are, and then put in things like the PDF slicks, the video stuff like that. And then what we also
So let's pause right there, Todd, and see. Does that help? Does that help you guys kind of see where we're starting and where we're trying to go with it? Do you have any questions?
All right.
Greenville?
Nope, no questions.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
another thing that happens with mobile, when you have menus, those menus go away. When you're running it on a larger screen, then they pop over on the side over here. So that's just kind of best practices for trying to make, as much room available for the information the person has to enter in here. So this is an example of some demographic data that's being collected, and they just base this on what we gave them in the form. So they knew, kind of the information that was relevant to be gathered. So I popped through, I answered some questions. We can make questions required or optional. I also had them, I went ahead and said I don't have any dependents I wanted to add. but like video. This is the video that we had produced by Second Canadian Group. And again, it's content responsive when you're in here. If you're on a desktop, it's that size. If you're on a phone, it's that sized. So we can go client by client, product by product. Now, this is talking about a fixed indemnity versus a MEC. We are going to create a different one for a MEC Plus for California and the other states that have the individual mandate coming back here in January. But like I said, give me the ability to add in a PDF slick. Let me put in video if I have it. Let me present what I want to present. And other areas like if STD is not available in this state, we need to be able to present that to the employee so they understand, hey, if I'm in California, I can't have that product set. So that kind of information will control. The other thing I wanted you guys to remember is that this will never be presented to a client or an employee until Kimberly and all of the team signs off. That's the right price point. That's the right product set. Yes, we sign off. This is good to go. Then it can be put in front of the employee. So we're going to play a role in that final stage in every case. So I just had them put in some different text in here that we wanted, but we'll drive all of this. And what's my enrollment decision? I want to enroll. Great. Which one do I want to enroll in? Drop down, pick my plan. Pick my price point. I'm doing employee only. Now it's going to take me to sign the forms. So I had them put in the exact form that Vaughn had given me, I think a week and a half ago is what I had them put into this one. I gave them the more updated one you guys worked on. So they have that as a template for as we're kind of building things out going forward. But I think the conversation I had with them yesterday, and this is what it looks like when you're signing a form as well. Let me bring this up. So you have the ability when you're dealing with your phone to do the pinch out down below. They can build a form from scratch, which is what you're seeing here. This is information that was collected and built from scratch. Then they can also overlay data onto existing forms as well. So this was a form set that we had where they're overlaying data on it. So we have the ability to put whatever we want inside here, whatever disclosures, disclaimers. We can have them build a form from scratch. We can have them put data onto our exact form. That's still going to be up to us. So he just overlaid some of the data on these. So I sign this as an employee by putting in the 4-digit PIN that I collected. It's going to be the signing ceremony of whatever product set. I mean, eRecruit does it differently than Express probably built than this one does. And all of these, again, are legitimate. And this one has been through the court system more than once. I know it's completely bulletproof. So I signed it. So I'm done. It went to no actions. Now, if I had other things that I needed to do, there are other transactions that a system like this has. But for the purpose of what I wanted to show you guys today, that was it. It was be brought in, answer some questions, sign forms if relevant, and then we're taking all of that collected data in the same format that we did for ePortal coming from Elwood, and we'll deliver it through ePortal and ePortal to PAI. But we also have the option for those that are not going to use the benefits of ePortal and the reporting and things like that, that we could go straight to PAI as well. So we have them set up to go both directions. Questions?
Nope.
Hey, Todd, the question I wanted to see is, we've created what we were talking about, the benefit offering, where we were going through the fixed indemnity with the, that was, employee only or whatever that we gave you here a couple of days ago as an example. Can they show the employee data information, name, address, social, whatever we need, instead of populating, because we don't have that on the form we created. We created the enrollment form, for lack of a better term. Can they show just the demographic data and then something, instead of laying it on top of that form that you saw that we had from the whichever one it was, the one that had the actual enrollment form versus the new one that we created? I know we're going to go through the order, how, videos, you name it. How much flexibility do we have in showing the different ways of confirming the information?
So that's an interesting question. Are you saying we want to gather data that isn't relevant to enrollment and show it?
No. What I'm saying is all the data that was enrollment. I forgot what screen it was on. You know, it was a few screens back, but their name, address, and social type of stuff we're gathering, right?
Okay.
And that's in there. And then it goes to where you went through the benefits, where you showed the indemnity, and you have a little blurb about no copays, no deductibles, that type of thing. And then you were looking at your benefit option of employee only, +1, whatever, and you saw the premiums. That's the part I'm trying to figure out is once we've gone through and we've selected the plan and we've clicked on it, and then at the end where you're showing the summary of this is what you enrolled, and you basically populated that on a PDF, if you will, of the application. That gets hard to read because it's so small and everything else. Do we have ability to say this is the data that we've gathered and these are the benefits instead of just showing the PDF populated? I know that works good on a computer, but on a phone, that's pretty small.
Yeah, I think the best route is kind of what you're describing. If we have them build out that first page form, which is a summary.
Correct.
And
that's correct.
Remember that even on the phone, you can do the pinch out to drill
down. Right.
But you're right that you want it to be very clear and spaced out with large writing. So this is a summary of what you elected. So yeah, that should sit in front of the actual enrollment form, and then that's where they're signing. But no, that's a very easy to do thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were creating when we say form. It's kind of that idea where it's not quite as, again, it scrolls down, it has it.
Go ahead, Vaughn, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that was the thought process to keep it flowing like the other stuff that you have inside of Efficient Hire.
Yeah, and especially considering that a client could have multiple products that they're putting in front of an employee. If you break the bundle of ancillary, you add in an MVP, you need to show them this is what you elected. You decline. You elected this, and this is what you picked employee only versus employee plus. And then this is the rate that you've elected. So yeah, a summary sitting in front of the overall form set is an excellent idea. And that's kind of out of the box for these guys anyway.
Okay, Jay, go ahead.
No, I think Tom has a comment.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, Todd, would it be possible to just very quickly run through those screens again at full screen so we get the idea of the flow on a laptop or terminal?
Yeah, again, you have to remember this is an example, though. This is not the final product. I went back to them and gave them all kinds of different variables that they would have to take into account. But if we went through this one right here, and if you see it, what happens is this left side navigation will come to life the very first time you're going through this. But if you jumped out of this, I don't know, dogs barking, babies crying, whatever, and you didn't have time to finish, if you jump back in, you could pick up where you left off if you were done at contact information. And it would show the customer they haven't finished. One of the things about a product like this one is you're either done or you're not. It's not like you answered this question, but you didn't answer that. You're either done or you're not. But as you go through it, and again, you guys can put in, this is where I want marketing to play a huge role, is you'll have an example of this that you can say, okay, what do we like in here? We want to put some verbiage. We want to put a PDF slick. We want to put a video. What looks best on a laptop versus a phone? So you're going to dictate what this looks like.
And hey, Todd, go back to that screen real quick. That's what I think, guys, what we were trying to do in the very beginning when we built out our benefit portal, where it says employee benefit offering, it says based on your evaluation, where it says welcome. That's the text of those bullets that I think we're looking for, is welcome to the benefit section of the onboarding process once enrolled. That's that content that we put in there is where that would go. What you're seeing right now was my thought process of what we're doing. Do you guys agree when you think about that other form that we created?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So that now we're on the same page. Go ahead.
And hey, Todd, do you have the ability to go in and enter our text into the forms, or is that something that Efficient Hire has to do, Efficient Forms has to do?
Yeah, we would have that ability to control that. What they did, so Efficient Hire has a full ACA offering, and it's benefit eligibility, tracking, benefit election, and then the 1094, 1095. So when I said to the team over there, look, I want to show my group an example of what this looks like. And they said, well, we still need a few weeks to have a production version for you. And I said, okay, but I want to show what this would look like as an example. So they said, well, we could take our benefit eligibility notification and put some of your stuff into it because it'd be a similar look and feel. But we're actually, as IAG and the customer for that matter, if we want the customer to be able to do it, we'd be able to dictate the text that went in. We'd be able to dictate this PDF slick here, this video here. So we would have control of that. It wouldn't be something we had to hand off to Efficient Hire.
So one of the things, Todd, just so that people know what we're doing here too, is when we say that we're looking for Efficient Hire to build out, if you will, a tool, the standalone, what we're talking about is we want to be able to do this. Think of this as ePortal 1.5 instead of 2.0. But the thought process is if we have this tool that can be inserted in with another payroll vendor, as an example, because they're doing payroll and maybe they're using their own onboarding, this could then slide in after they get through their I-9W4. They could slide this in because they're still going to be feeding the data, in theory, to ePortal on the backside, so that we're sending it to PAI. Then for ongoing service and rehires and different things, they could be doing that in ePortal. Is the thought process. Does that flow for everybody?
Yep.
Yeah, the goal of
Okay.
it was
Go ahead, Todd.
go ahead and give the employee the ability to do elections in a mobile environment without worrying about waiting for ePortal 2.0. This does not take any of the functionality away from ePortal, the benefit management aspect of it. This is really just employee-facing pieces. And then it also gives us as a company the ability to show examples of best practice to other vendors before they build something. And this is kind of where it'd be nice to get in front of Express. And first off, we have to find out which path they took. And if the path they took is the eRecruit type, which I think they probably did, we'll show them a best practice eRecruit type. And if they did more of this model of a Q&A, we can show them best practice of this as well. So we're just trying to define the process ourselves before somebody else builds something wrong.
Right.
Correct.
It's good.
Yeah.
So this is just an example where they had the ability to put in whatever they wanted. So I told them put the video in. They put in some different descriptions under this plan summary because that was a free form area that they could play with. But inside of this, we can put in pictures, we can put in, a PDF slick, we can put in video, we can put in, defined HTML text. We would be in control of what goes into something like this. But
so guys, for the form that we created that has fixed indemnity with the stethoscope and the covers common medical expenses, easy to avoid price, R2 benefit, that's what we're saying would go right in there. So it's still the same type of thing that we could. He just has that data.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'll have more feedback once I see what we put in there.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense. Do you have an ETA did Efficient Hire kind of give you a timeline on when they would be done?
Yeah, I threw him a curveball yesterday when I added in all these variations of possibilities. But I think, the two sprints they're trying to get this into, November 25th is one of them, and then December 5th, if they missed it, was the other one. Maybe it's not the 25th, maybe it's the 21st, but it's the
21st, yeah.
21st. They're 2-week sprints that they do releases in. And so they're trying to get to the 21st. And if they can't get to the 21st, they're looking at the 5th. But there's the possibility of the middle week rollout as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have something.
So hold on, Todd, right there, Todd. Just Jay, you still in there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So now think just for a second, we've got this rough draft, if you will, this right here. We're going to have to make a decision pretty quick for American Services of, do we go with something that's kind of like this, where we can meet the 21st, or is it going to be better to say use e-form for your open enrollment? We'll have the real cleaned up version, exactly like what we want, and all of that ready for either they push their open enrollment to 12/5, or we just say you're going to be ready 1/1. We go ahead and do open enrollment with e-form, and we switch everything over to this process 1/1. So the key is trying to get ready for American Services, which is, you know, a week. We got like a week or week and a half, whatever, to get ready. So that's why I wanted you to see this part, because we can change some text, but the flow is kind of what we would be looking at for American Services, or say, no, we want to take more time and have it closer and better and all, and do 1/1.
Vaughn, I would say the choice is either e-form or wait for this to roll on, you know, worst case scenario 12/5. I wouldn't attempt to shove in a hybrid in between there, because what they're building is also the data elements on the back end of the portal. So I'd rather go e-form, not the prettiest, but live, or push to this. And one thing that's kind of a bummer is I guess they're doing a paycheck stuffer, and that's why they wanted lead time to know what week they were going.
Correct. That's correct.
We have plan A and B. One is to go e-form and then transition to this when it's ready. And it sounds like that's what we're going to have to do. So we need to get on that to make sure they understand. But it wouldn't be bad.
They know that. They've absolutely been told that. They're just waiting to see if we're going to be able to hit it. And that's why I wanted you guys to see what we've got right now.
Yeah, and it may be something that we show them that this is where it's going, so they see that we're working on it and it's almost ready, but it's not quite ready yet. But it will go to this, I don't know, at some 2 months into it or whatever.
That's a pretty good idea. Are you okay with doing that? I mean, we can talk to PJ and say, hey, this is what we're showing.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. That helps. That helps because. Yep.
Show them a product.
All right, cool. All right, Todd, go ahead. That's what I wanted you to hear, because PJ is going to ask, and I told everybody we were going to try to have an answer by Friday on what direction we thought we were going, and we can show them this and then say, hey, if you can go 12/5, great. If not, maybe you can see what this looks like. We can discuss 12/1, what we're doing 12/1 with e-form, or 1/1 this. But showing them this might help them really see what we're doing. If that makes sense to you.
Yep, we just the risk is that they would have great ideas and want to change it upside down, but we're just going to tell them this is where it's going, but we're not changing, we're not doing it.
Right. All right, cool. All right, I'll get a hold of PJ with that idea, Donna. So, all right, Todd, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, I would suggest, I can find out probably by Monday what sprint they're really going to be able to target based on the changes I hit them with yesterday. So I would suggest we tell them it's e-form for 12/1, and then this will be inside of their onboarding process by 12/5, but their open enrollment is e-form.
See, their open enrollment is 12/1 to 12/15 type of thing. So I think what we're saying is it would just be e-form all the way through their open enrollment. And again, I don't know how many people, and I don't know, Jay, if you do, I don't know what kind of open enrollment bump we get at American Services. Like if we're getting 100 normal applications every month because it's just the new hires, do we get 400 during open enrollment, or do we get 125? Because I don't know how many people are really going out and doing any kind of thing because it's quote unquote open enrollment or not. Do you?
Well, we'll have to look up the numbers on that and see. We don't know off the top of our heads.
Yeah, but that's
I know
just
it's a different animal. It's a different animal because it's majority of this is security guards.
Right, right. You know, they got time to sit around and look up stuff.
They probably look up stuff every hour of the day. They're sitting in front of a computer looking at it.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
All right, well, that's really good, guys. Appreciate you, appreciate it. So I mean, let's keep talking. I'm not trying to get you off the phone. I'm just expressing.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure I had the American Services. We can keep talking, and you can ask questions, and we can go through it. And yes, we went through other changes with the Fish and Hire. Yes, they have what we call the benefit portal version 6. All of those things, they have the content. This was just what was already, because we'd already been working on it. They had already been kind of going down that path.
Okay. Yep. So how pissed off are they that we're changing the?
They're not.
How pissed off?
They're not.
They're not. Okay.
It's okay. And when I originally had kind of given them the heads up on what direction we wanted to go, it was based on forms that we had given to them, and it was important for me to sit down with them and give them the variations of what might come into this. So it's not a big deal. Like anybody else, the head of development, who's a close friend of mine, he can be very pessimistic on the early side, and then once he gets on board, he's 100%. So nobody's upset, Jay. It's okay.
Okay. It's okay. Yep. All right. Anybody got any questions? All right. We have to organize this thing with American Services to show them.
Yep.
So we need to coordinate that with PJ and let her be the point person to set it up and explain what's happening, so that we keep continuity with the communication and don't. So Vaughn, I'll just let you. I'll mention what's going on to PJ, and then you set it up with her.
I've already done all of this, Jay. I just wanted your confirmation that we were on the same page. She knows. I sent the email this morning. She knows what we're doing. She knows we're able to show it. They know about all of the dates. I just wanted you to know, because you're going to be out of pocket, and I just wanted you to.
No, I'm talking about doing a demo for them to show them, where the project is.